Welcome to A Plan for That podcast, where each week I will be meeting with organizers, leaders, and democracy warriors. And together we will educate, invigorate, and elevate the progressive movement. Together we will elect an army of progressives. Hey guys, it's Erin with A Plan for That podcast, and today I have some really exciting guests with me. We are going to start with our little segment we call the good, the bad, and the ugly. It's just really helpful with this crazy news cycle that we have every day to go ahead and nutshell it down for you. So let's get going on that. Maya, Mari, are you ready to go?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Excellent. So here's the good, you guys, and it's more than usual. Yay! Just today, the CDC announced that fully vaccinated people may now go outdoors without masks as long as you are not in a crowded space. Please still mask in those areas. The feeling of being outdoors for me is just so renewing and so hopeful. And no, it isn't because I just started a diet where I walk every day. Elizabeth Warren and Mondaire Jones announced a child care bill, you guys, and it is amazing. It is going to help so many people. Maya, I don't need to tell you that women are hurting right now. It's hard for me to get a job when my kid's still home here having school at home.
For sure. You know, I have one sister and she has four beautiful little girls, all between the ages of 1 and 13. And so when the pandemic, kind of set in, it kind of really threw their life in disarray. And as a parent, being afraid, is it okay to send my kid to school? But then realizing, having to balance home duties and work duties and what do I do? So, yeah, we were experiencing it firsthand for real and watching her juggle it. She's another strong female that I have in my life. But you're absolutely right. It's hitting women hard.
It is. And you guys, it's hitting teachers even harder. Let me tell you just a brief anecdote from my personal life. One of my little guy's friends at school, both parents are professors, both of them. So they've got to teach their online class for the students, and they have a 5-year-old and a 9-year-old. So now they've got to be bothered with how to help those two children be successful at learning at home as well. And honestly, other than mainlining red wine, I don't know how they do it. Mari?
Yeah, I mean, my mom is an administrator for Oakland Unified School District. And I remember this time last year when they were putting together their distance learning program, the problem is that school districts were not equipped with strategies for how to deal with something like this. And I remember some of the teachers picked programs that were PC based or Chromebook based, and then other teachers picked programs that were Apple based, and they had to create curriculum for two different, software packages.
Oh.
And it just made everything really complicated. So I feel for teachers. I also feel for parents who are also teachers, because this whole situation has been kind of tough for both.
Seriously. And I'm going to throw out a personal feel bad for the people that have special needs children too, because I got to tell you, for your school to say, guess what? Your kid can't get services because we're all too busy doing the rest of this garbage is not really an effective answer either.
Right.
Yeah, we're looking forward to some changes here. And this bill not only covers childcare, but it covers the childcare workers who too often, the reason that you can't find decent childcare is, number one, you can't afford it. And number two, nobody wants to work for the dirt wages that it pays.
Right.
Yeah. And I hope, if it's okay for me to interject, I haven't seen, the entirety of the news reports that's behind it. But I heard a little bit about now certain people think it's all right to intimidate teachers who still want to be protected, wear masks or get vaccinated. And some think it's all right to have others come in and harass our teachers as if they're not juggling enough, as if they haven't put themselves in harm's way enough while still going through a pandemic, that we want to throw harassment on top of it as well.
Right.
It's just insane the world that we're living in right now. But sorry, I
It
needed to get that
is.
out there.
No, I hear you, Maya. And oh, you are so close to the ugly line that we're going to cross in a little bit here. But let's stay in good just for a second. We gotta relish it just for a second.
I will
So,
say for Californians, I know a couple of people who have kids and are paying for childcare, and it's so expensive in this state that they've actually considered like quitting their jobs because it would be cheaper
yes.
for them to stay home and take care of their kids than it would be for them to work. And I know that some people have been able to work from home and kind of go through that whole juggling period, but there's a lot of essential workers out there who don't have that luxury and who have still had to depend on childcare.
Exactly. Exactly. So, like we say every day, we love Elizabeth Warren. Thank you so much. And then another bill that just came out today from another person that I've been watching really closely is Senator Merkley. And if you guys don't remember the episode where I mentioned my personal story with him, there was a baby that was abandoned during the evil Trump administration and laying on a dirt floor without any kind of care. And videos were going around from a group called Races. They are a nonprofit legal organization that was trying to work with people at the detention centers and make sure that they were getting treated appropriately. Ha ha. Anyway, we called Jeff Merkley's office all day. I asked all of my followers on Twitter and all of my friends and family to call his office and tell them what was going on at the border. And what happened was just a miracle, you guys. We got an injunction. His office went directly into action, and the child was taken out of ICE's custody and placed into safe care where the child thrives. And
Oh,
I mean,
wow.
if you ever have a story of why should I do anything, why should I be an activist? I mean, there's a baby who's now alive because of it. The end. Like,
Wow.
it's powerful. So, in addition to being a hero, he went ahead and introduced a bill called End Price Gouging today.
Yes.
And you guys, this is it. This is what we've all been waiting for all across the country. We're finally going to stick it to Big Pharma and lower those drug costs. Don't all say
Hopefully.
hallelujah at
Well,
once.
yeah. You know what? You're right. We're in the good portion of this segment. I just need to keep reminding myself of that. It's actually it's great news. I was just speaking about starting to exercise more and more every day and trying to get healthier and things of that nature.
Woohoo!
And I've started it with other family members. I'm trying to pull other family members into this process and journey with me. So it's not just myself getting healthier, we're getting healthier as a family. And we were just talking about healthcare in terms of how costly it is for medicines and how anytime you get sick, it seems like historically up until today, doctors just want to throw a pill at you.
Yep.
It's never really about truly healing the person or even preventing the illness to begin with. It's just let's throw a pill at it and these pills cost, depending on what you're on, so much money.
Mm-hmm.
So when I hear of, ending price gouging, especially as it relates to healthcare, I think it's something that's long overdue. No one should ever have to beg for their life or, as AOC puts it, be too poor to live. So amen to what's going on. And I just hope it passes.
Hell yes. Well,
Right.
we're going to have a say so, and if it passes, right, we got to stay loud and proud about this. So, the one thing I wanted to mention is what Maya tipped on, you guys, and that is it's always about a pill. And here's a tiny little anecdote from my personal life, and Mari has heard so much from my personal life that he'll probably chime in here too. I have an issue with my thyroid. No, it is not inactive or underactive, it's actually normal, but it's towards the lower end of normal. So in our country, if you have something that's functioning, but it's just not functioning so well, the doctors say, sorry, see you later, you're fine. And naturopaths and natural doctors will say, guess what? You could be feeling so much better. And here are some things to do. So long story short, I tried to find potassium iodide, which is a natural boost for your thyroid. Natural, natural, natural. All of us have moved away from iodized salt and into sea salt, and that's great. But if you have issues with your thyroid, this is not helpful. So guess what I found out, you guys?
What's that?
I found out that potassium iodide is nowhere to be found in America, and you have to buy it from Canada. Now, Mari, why would it be that my country wants to put me on Synthroid when I don't need it, and Canada wants to help me with my natural issue and not put me on yet another dangerous prescription?
Oh, well, it's probably because of capitalism. I mean, just for instance, in Merkley's bill, he talks about insulin prescriptions, or when he rolled it out, he talked about insulin prescriptions, and he was stating that in America, Lantus Solar Star insulin could cost $373. But in Canada, it's $67, or in France, it's $47. So again, this is a capitalistic society. People are all in it for profits and profits only, and they're taking advantage of that.
Hell yes. And anytime I hear about people in it for profit, Maya, when we have something that is for profit, it's always against the bulk of the people. Am I right?
You are 100% right. But this touches, and I won't get steered too far away from what we're talking about. I'm of the don't throw darts at me, people.
No. Everyone's welcome here.
Uh-oh.
I think I don't. Some people, when you say capitalism, have a knee jerk reaction, and it's the devil, and the end all be all to all of our problems. I'm not necessarily of that opinion. I think almost no matter what kind of system you're in, depending on who's leading it or who's running it, anything can be corrupted, right?
Absolutely.
There you go.
Absolutely.
There you go.
And so my focus is more so, systems are certainly important, the structure of systems, but even more so than systems, people, right? Because people
Amen.
run things, people build things, it takes people to start and end things, right? So who are the people that we're putting in charge of things? Who are the people that we are entrusting these decisions to? And so that's kind of where my focus is, more so than trying to necessarily just blame it all on capitalism.
Yes,
no, absolutely.
ma'am.
I should have said capitalism without regulation. Because
crooked capitalism.
Exactly.
Hey.
Because in most of these situations, I've worked in healthcare for 13 years, and I've worked with a lot of great organizations who are building either diagnostic tools or cutting edge technology to help deal with it, and they're not doing what some of these other companies are doing. So obviously, greed plays a big role in it. Corruption plays a big role in it. And the fact that there's limited regulation on a lot of these organizations, that plays a major role in it. So, agreed.
Hell yes. And just spoiler alert, we all met because we love Elizabeth Warren.
Oh, man. We could have a whole episode just talking about that right there. Seriously. Just if we can just do a sidebar real quick. That's truly how we all came together. I met Mari before I knew Mari, and it was because of Elizabeth
Right.
Warren. I am not a social media person at all. The only reason why I was on social media was to help, do whatever I can to amp up her candidacy and to show support in the hopes that finally, we're going to elect somebody who's a real champion of the people, who says what they mean and means what they say. And this is somebody who has the moral conviction to see it through after they get elected. Man, I was so hyped up and so inspired by her run for president. I didn't really know her before, but once I got wind of her and then I started to look into who Elizabeth was, I started to listen to her speak more and more and look through her plans. My gosh, I was just, what a time to be alive, to be able to live in an age to see not just Elizabeth Warren, but there are plenty of other good women, great leaders out there. But she was putting her name forward to run for president. And I was proud to be able to support and, line up to vote for her. And I just,
Absolutely. I felt the same way. I actually know her from a little ways back. I'm older than everybody here. And I've been watching her make people squirm and cry for decades. But I really fell truly in love, not just with her plans, not just with her as a person, but when she said, "What do you want America to look like?" It just boom, right in my heart, because she's right, you guys. It is up to us. It is up to us. Period.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm just partial to teachers, given that my mom is one. And, when you think about what teachers do every day in and out, they have to have lesson plans. She had plans. They have to control chaos. She was able to do that multiple times on that debate stage. I just feel like in out of all of the candidates that I saw, she was the one who appealed to me the most. And I got on social media. I had my Twitter account. I just never tweeted anything. But I got on because I felt like there was this narrative out there that Black progressives didn't exist. And I'm like, whoa, wait a second. I have something to say about that. And I haven't looked back, You
and me both. Yes, yes.
Amen. And we are loud and proud and getting bigger and bigger every day, y'all. So let's keep plowing through the news because I can't wait for you to meet Maya and Mari. Okay. So we got to go to the bad side, you guys. I know the good felt so good, but we need to stay awake and alert to what is going on the bad side of things. So the police are still murdering Black Americans. There is a critical emergency here. And I, for one, am not going to rest until President Biden puts his police oversight commission together. I want him to do this. He ran on this. I want Julian Castro and Brittany Packnett Cunningham to lead. Why? Because Julian has a deep bench on what he plans to do and what those plans look like. Brittany Packnett Cunningham actually led President Obama's police commission. And we want someone with experience. We want someone who's unapologetic. And we want people who are ready to work now, waiting for the evidence, waiting for the trial, waiting for the body cam, waiting for the verdict. How about we stop the thugs with badges before all of this crap happens in the first place? And to the listeners who think that I'm mean or too rough, I have two things to tell you, and then I'll hush up because I know I'm ranting over here. Number one, I worked with the police, and I know what that training includes, and I know what it prohibits. And number two, the cops in North Carolina shot Andrew Brown Jr. in the back of the head. Guess who else does things like that? Professional hitmen. It is beyond time to police the police, and we can't stop at anything less than full transparency, full background checks, including social media. If you're part of the KKK group on Facebook, you're not carrying a badge. We want full accountability. Do you want the senseless killing to stop? Then fire the cops, make them personally liable to pay, and put them in jail. What do you guys think?
Yeah, this issue, as a Black female, I'll tell you this. I did not live in fear of police per se until about maybe 5 years ago when I was pulled over by a cop. And it was after one of these really bad incidents. It had constantly been in the news. Another Black person was killed senselessly. And I was just pulled over, regular, ma'am, something to do with my tags, heart racing. And I was just thinking, I can't believe at this stage in my life that I'm in fear of my life um, from someone who should be protecting me as much as they protect other people.
Amen.
This issue is so volatile because as Black people, as Black Americans living in these grand United States of America, we're dealing with a majority population that's white. It's changing, but it's still white. And so it's how, as Black people sometimes, and I'm not speaking for all Black people, but for myself personally, it's how do you talk about this issue and get white America to understand that no, we're not trying to get rid of the police force entirely. But we're just trying to get trying to get other people, excuse me, to recognize that there's a very real danger that exists. And one that more so often than not, if it involves Black people, ends in someone getting really hurt or, God forbid, dead. And so we can't keep looking from this issue and saying we're just going to tinker around the edges with it, because every day more and more Black people keep getting killed senselessly. And part of why I'm doing this is, and I've mentioned it to you guys before, and I'm a proud aunt. I'm wrapped around all of their little fingers, but heavens, I don't want them growing up to where, in a few years, they're going to be getting their driver's license. And if they get pulled over, get into an incident that they might be wound up dead for it. I just don't want to live in a world where I have that fear for myself, let alone my nieces or any other or family members or people out there. So we've got to get past this angst of white people against Black people, and get to an understanding that there is something that's just fundamentally wrong with policing across America. It is not one bad apple here or there. This is a broken system, and we've got to fix it because our lives, all people's lives, are important. And it's not okay to just say it's just because it's Black people getting killed that we don't need to do any major structural changes around it. Black people are people too. Our lives are as important as anyone else's. And
Absolutely.
so we're from my standpoint, I come from a military family. I've had to, on occasion, when I was younger, call officers for help, and thank God that they showed up because I needed it. So I'm not on the bandwagon that we need to get rid of our police force in its entirety, but we do need to get smarter about policing in America, and we just don't need to keep throwing money at these precincts so that they can continue to militarize up and never solve the problem and just use more weaponry to kill more people. We've really got to get smarter about it. We've got to be honest about the fact that there are a lot of bad cops across America, and they need to be removed and never allowed to be in positions of authority over human beings ever again. And so that's where I'm at with it.
Well, you're at the perfect spot. And Mari, I want to hear you weigh in on this because I looked it up. Did you know that the police union is one of the only unions that isn't actually working in the interests of the people?
Oh, I mean, yeah. I mean, we could talk about qualified immunity till, we're blue in the face. So a couple of things I'm going to pick up on. Thing number one is I've had some encounters with the police myself, okay? I lived in a city who passed a resolution to adopt the 8 can't wait, right? They've done 4 out of the 8. I still got pulled over for no reason in a rental car, pulled out, sat on a curb for him to search my car for a cell phone that fell off the seat that I told him I picked up and put back on the seat, for him to then write me a cell phone ticket for handling my cell phone while driving. So I have all kinds of stories like that.
Ridiculous, man.
I have all kinds of stories like that. But here's a couple of things that I want to touch on. I am a burn it down to the ground, start over from scratch type person, because the problem is if you're 73 years old and a grandma with dementia who's white in Colorado and you get thrown to the ground and treated like crap, what do you think everybody else in America is going to go through? There's something fundamentally wrong with police in this country. And I find it funny that the Second Amendment people are all about their guns and protecting themselves from a tyrannical government, but at the same time, allow the police to do whatever they want to whoever they want. And we've seen this. It doesn't matter if you're an 11-year-old kid playing with a toy gun or, you know, a 15-year-old girl who's being, you know, treated poorly, or 16 treated poorly in the house that you're living in and you're protecting yourself. Or if you're just driving with your family, with your kid in the back seat, it doesn't matter. There's something wrong with these people. And we cannot, to Maya's point, just tinker around the edges. It's time to burn the thing down. I also have a problem with the fact that police chiefs are not elected officials. So we elect DAs, we elect mayors, we elect all of these other city officials, but somehow the police chief of municipalities gets I can't think of the word right now, appointed by the mayor. Yeah. Come on. I think that should be an elected position. I think we should pick those people. I think those people should be reflective of the community. And I think that, you know, we have to start dealing with this a lot more seriously. And I'm upset with Congress for not doing more with the amount of power that they have right now.
Yes.
And I get that we got the filibuster and all this other stuff, but that doesn't mean that you guys can't be pushing for something and getting this country to rally around it and put pressure on these other people like the Mansions and the Cinemas and even the Murkowskis.
Yes.
To do something about this.
I mean, Mari, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, right now, I think it was, and I hope I'm not going to butcher his name, is DeRay. I believe I was listening to him speak the other day, and he went through a litany list of things yesterday when he took office back in January that Biden could have done in order to start attacking this head on. Yes. It might be local precincts and local police stations around America, but all of them get federal dollars.
Right.
Yeah. And Maya, to your point, I got to interject here, because when you see Merrick Garland on TV announcing an investigation into the practices and functions of certain police departments, that's after people have been killed.
Right. And congratulations, we got an investigation. I know some people are super excited about it, and we have, attorney general that's not corrupt. That's great, but an investigation is just an investigation. It does nothing for us today.
That's exactly right. And for my friends, Mari, Maya, and all of my people of color that I am fighting for every single day, I promise you guys, I'm not giving up. We just can't wait. We can't wait for the investigation, for the camera, the footage, for any of it. We need to stop it. Stop it all now.
Right. And then the thing with the camera, one more thing. And then I promise I'm done. One more thing. The camera.
Keep going, though. All right.
Are we going to draft Carlson next? So go for it.
The thing with the camera is, first off, in the North Carolina situation, they're withholding a lot of the body camera footage. Okay. Mm-hmm. But then on the second hand, in Colorado, you have cops laughing at the body cam footage. So it's like, what's really going on here in these police departments? Like, we really need someone from the Justice Department sitting in every police department in every major city of this country right now, writing reports. Forget about investigating. We need
Absolutely.
some ride-alongs. We need somebody
that,
taking notes.
that is key, Mari. That is key, because as someone who worked for the police, I will tell you right now, having a mandate come down from the feds is not enough. I had my guys make jokes about profiling and racial discrimination. It's not enough. You need to have someone on site. Mari is exactly right. Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry to keep the bad or the worst part of this segment going.
Well, we going ugly next.
Even
Come on, girl.
if
We
we
haven't even
got
got to the
there.
darkest part yet.
Right. But what kind of an indictment is it on America that, even with the cameras, when we've had some cameras across precincts for years now, even with the cameras showing blatant just executions of people, human beings, that they still get off. They still get off. It look how much it took just to get some kind of justice for a man who died while a cop, knowing he was being videotaped by multiple people, kneel on the neck of this man for 9 minutes and 29 seconds. How much it took to just get that little bit of justice in that case.
That's right. And we heard pundits every day, Maya, will he be convicted? Will he be there should be no question.
Well, that's a whole other problem with the way that the media hypes this crap up. But yeah, I mean, Maya's right. I mean, the case was basically gift wrapped because people had a camera. There were multiple eyewitnesses. In this situation, because they didn't want to, lose their jobs too, some people on the police force stood up and did the right thing and testified. But in most situations, that's not going to happen. And in other body cam situations or live phone recorded situations, it doesn't happen. And
that's right.
That's the frustrating part of all of this is we can have videotape till the cows come home. But if we don't have district attorneys and, civil servants in municipalities doing this, my mom, again, works for a school district. Oakland's been taken over by the state multiple times for mismanaging funds. So if the state will come in and say, Oakland Unified School District, we're going to take this over and we're going to get the district back up and functioning, why aren't they taking over these police departments? Why aren't states getting involved? Why isn't, the Justice Department getting more involved and saying, no, we're going to come run you for a period of time and we're going to clean house? That's what needs to happen. Nobody's doing that. Nobody's talking about it.
I mean, it's America's oldest sin, and you might not agree with it, but it's because from the inception of it to this very day, America hasn't valued Black people the way that they do white people. We're not considered equal. We're almost in certain instances considered subhuman. And that because if we weren't, this problem would have been solved a long time ago. Absolutely, let's just be clear about it. So, and until we're honest about that fact, and until we start reckoning with it, things aren't going to change.
Right.
You're exactly right. You're exactly right. And here's one last little bit on this, and then we do have to go ugly. I apologize, guys. One last bit is, while we're pushing for change, and we're going to do it every day, me, Mari, Maya, and everybody across social media and this entire nation, I need to hear from the good cops, because there are good cops, but they're too damn silent. And in my opinion, you're making yourselves bad cops by doing that. So speak up and speak out and stop holding the stupid blue line.
Yeah.
Strike, good cops. Strike.
That's right.
You're right.
Demand change from your own.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly right. They knelt with us when we were protesting. Well, come on. Let's see it again.
That was very performative, but okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So now we're going to ugly, guys. I'm here to tell you that right-wing Nazi boy Tucker Carlson went on TV last night about how people should harass and call the police on individuals individuals wearing masks outside. First of all, he's an idiot and a racist jackass. You only have to listen to his garbage trash show once to verify that. But there is something uglier here, and we're going to get into this deep. He is encouraging acts that will certainly lead to conflict and likely to violence. And there's a description for this. Mari and I were talking about it. It's called stochastic terrorism. You want the definition? Here we go. The public demonization of a person or group resulting in the incitement of a violent act, which is statistically probable, but whose specifics cannot be predicted, i.e., the person who attacked the mask wearer was responding to stochastic rhetoric that was heard on Fox News. I just wonder if the people who attacked our Capitol heard something like that on Fox News. Elizabeth Warren had it 100% correct. Fox News is a hate-for-profit machine, and in my opinion, we need to sue them, and we need to sue them out of existence. Here's the things that they have done all this year. Lied about COVID-19, leading to hundreds of thousands, if not millions of deaths. Hate crimes due to programming. So we have people who hate colors just because they're told to hate people who have colored skin. Then we have stochastic terrorism and activated terrorists itself. We've got attacks on the nation, attacks on the Capitol, and it goes on and on and on. Ask yourself why people down south hate people down north so damn much, because let me tell you, Fox News is the answer. What do you guys think?
Oh, right. I mean, we're coastal elites because Fox News calls us that, or we're flaming liberals, or whatever the case may be. And I'm not going to give Mr. Carlson too much airtime because I just don't even want to. I mean, I hate this guy like poison. But
Yes.
I mean, down to his bow tie, I hate him. My frustration is that we collectively aren't doing enough to deal with this issue. And the only way we're going to resolve it is if we get numbers behind a solution. So whether that's class actioning them, or if that's actually calling your cable company and trying to get them deplatformed from plans, whatever the case may be, it has to be done in numbers large enough to matter. And until that happens, we're going to have this battle. And I don't understand why people aren't putting more of an emphasis on this. There are way too many people watching that news network. Way too many. And we need to figure out how we do that without infringing upon any First Amendment rights. And I know it's possible, but we need some heads around this issue, because this isn't something I don't think that can be legislated away. And I know some people out there have come up with solutions like removing them from all federal buildings, and some other ideas. But really what it's going to come down to is we need like 5 million people to call up DirecTV and Comcast and say, we need this to end immediately, and force them onto a web platform where they're going to get a much smaller viewership.
Absolutely. What do you think, Maya? Because here's my last 2 cents, and then you go off. If you ask yourself, why would our country allow such programming to air? I invite you to listen, you guys, to our episode with Justin Coleman called Mobbed Up, because let me tell you, Murdoch is behind it all. Go for it, Maya.
Yeah, I'm gonna come at this from a different angle, and just bear with me. I'm gonna get to the point.
You got it, girl.
It when Newtown happened, that kind of struck me in a different way, because I thought, these are little babies, kids.
Right?
And when Congress didn't act to do a thing about it, I was like, oh my gosh, babies, kids. And these are white kids. I could almost, even though it sounds horrible and cynical, could have probably understood it if it were black kids. But these are white kids that just got slaughtered. Fast forward to pandemic, where when one of the biggest outbreaks started to happen, where was it at? Nursing homes. Most of the faces I saw, white faces. These are elderly white people. We're still not racing to try to do anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
There is a sickness in America. And in my core, I don't believe it's so much white people against black people. I think it's
Mm-mm.
the haves against the have nots. It's
Amen.
these people who are wealthy and powerful that say, we can afford to survive this. Survival of the fittest, let the rest die off, you know? And so they don't care what color your skin is. They don't care where you live or who you are. If you're either in this elite, rich, powerful class or you're not. So Tucker Carlson can get on Fox News and Fox News can continue to air them because they get ratings, and they're radicalizing these Republicans to continue to subscribe to these cable networks and donate money day after day, hour after hour over these ridiculous causes that they invent and don't exist. There's no truth to them because there's a sickness in America, and it's rich people and these powerful people who are fomenting it more so than not. And I think that's where the
Yes.
real problem lies. It's not mostly just white people hating black people or black people hating white people because of the color of our skins. This is architecture. We are
Yes.
all being set up to fight against each other for ridiculous reasons.
Right.
Yes.
But we need to clear our eyes and understand who the true enemy really is. And
See?
that's what I'm going to say about it.
Beautiful.
Right.
No, that is dead on, because this is one of the reasons why I have spoken in previous episodes with Chris Ferry. And yes, we're having her back, you guys. So stay tuned. I have talked with her about dark money. Dark money can only succeed when we hate each other, when we're divided, when we can't join arm in arm. And Maya, you just spoke to all of that. We've got people who are very, very powerful who are trying to manipulate us on the chessboard like little puppets.
Yeah, but one thing I'll point out is there are enough of us that agree that it's a problem to do something. It's just
Yes.
we are not organized in such a way to wield that power. And I don't know what it's going to take. And I get everybody has their issue. My issue is healthcare. I'm all about making sure everybody has healthcare for free. But we have to multitask and we have to focus on more than one thing at a time. And we're expecting people in Congress to do that, but we're not doing it ourselves. So we have to focus and fight for things all at once. And all I'm saying is if just 1/10 of the people who voted called DirecTV and Comcast, I'm sure we get more traction. I'm sure we
Absolutely.
get more traction.
Absolutely. And Mari, just like you always are, you're inside of my brain right now, because guess what, listeners? I want change in America. You want change in America. The bulk of America wants change in America. Well, guess what? We finally have some electeds that we chose to bring that change. So great news. The perfect guests that we've been talking to this entire time are going to help us answer the question, now what? Here with me tonight, Maya and Mari of the United Progressive Platform. We got to take a short break because we've been having too much fun, but we'll see you back in 20.
For the last 10 years, I've been a public defender here in Manhattan. I've represented over 3,000 New Yorkers, people who didn't have the money to pay for a lawyer. I fight for justice for them. My name's Eliza Orlins, and I'm running for Manhattan District Attorney. Every day in court, I fight against a criminal legal system that's cruel and unjust. One that's rigged for the rich and powerful and against everyone else. A system that fails us, that devastates Black, brown, and low-income communities, that tears families apart, that hurts innocent victims, and that does not keep us safe. We can do better. We must. I know the system from the inside, so I know we can't change the system unless we change the DA. That's why I'm running to be your next Manhattan District Attorney. Join me in the fight.
Oh, I am so excited to introduce you to my guests, you guys. I just cannot wait. So, first, we're going to be talking to Maya. And Maya was not just named after a phenomenal woman and raised by phenomenal women, she is an aunt to four phenomenal little girls. And personally, I'm going to add on something else. She is my inspiration on a daily basis. Maya, tell us how you got into creating Up.
Well, it's going to take us back to that lady who we all have in common, Elizabeth Warren. Again, like I said, I've been on social media before when I was younger and whatnot, but I just found it to be so toxic that I had really removed myself
Smart.
from it. And
Except
it was,
if you're listening to us, then it's really, really wise.
and I don't say that. I know that there's good stuff out there. It's not all toxic. But I was just like, whoa, let me just pull myself back from this. But it was Elizabeth Warren's candidacy who got me back on Twitter and interacting with folks on Twitter. And I have to admit, some good came out of me and some bad came out of me as well. Social media has a way of pulling out some ugly stuff that can be in people. And you get angry over situations and how you're seeing people treated. And throughout her race, towards the end of it, how she was just being shut down and silenced by the media networks as if she wasn't even in the race at all. It's like they just deliberately tried to take her voice away from her. And they did it because they knew how powerful her ideas are.
Absolutely.
And so once she lost her bid for presidency, it devastated me on a certain level, in that I was so hopeful watching her run and listening to all of the plans that she had and learning more and more about the type of human being she was behind the scenes. And it was kind of like, man, this is, was maybe our one and only chance in my lifetime to actually get somebody in there who could really, really make a difference. And I'm not talking about small changes here and there. I'm talking about major shifts that can really impact the lives of especially the most marginalized and vulnerable amongst us. So, once I got over my pity party and got through my anger, I'm like, I got to do something. We were still in the midst of a pandemic. We're still locked in our homes. I'm bouncing off the walls. And I'm like, I got to do something to be productive. What can I do? How can I use, whatever skill sets and talents that I have to bring to bear on this situation? Because as great as Elizabeth was, she can't do it all by herself. We're going to need way more people in this fight with her, linking arms, like-minded people who have the same values and want to see a better America for all people. So for me, it was, okay, how can we come up with something that's a bit more proactive, that has a progressive leaning stance, that's focused on organizing people more around some simple principles? Because everyone isn't a politico, everyone doesn't live and breathe this kind of stuff on a daily basis. So how can we bring in everyday folk? And I'm considering myself a little bit of everyday folk because I don't have a political background. This is not my profession or anything like that, but I want to contribute. I want to feel like I'm a part of making a difference. So how can we create a structure that simplifies it a little bit and makes it easier for people to participate in stuff like this and make a difference? And so that was kind of the initial vision and how it started with Up. And then, right as I'm kind of mapping this out, and I think I even threw it in a chat group, a common friend of Mari and I, someone we had met online, Jason, Mari, last name?
Overstreet.
Jason Overstreet. We had both knew Jason Overstreet, and he was starting a group as well. And so he brought me into that, and I was like, okay, it seems like you're fighting for some similar things. Let me go join your group. And that's where I officially met Mari. We have been following each other online, but that's where we first kind of met each other and started to get to know who we were, so to speak. And our relationship it was OFD, Operation Frederick Douglass. Once our time ended there and it achieved what it needed to achieve, then we just kind of threw gasoline on the fire with Up, and we took off from there, and we haven't kind of looked back ever since. And so that's kind of the beginnings of how it happened a little bit. And I can let Mari chime in, let you guys know how I twisted his arm and threatened him and tried to bribe him in every way possible to help me out in this endeavor.
Well, poor Mari had you doing that, and I know he's going to verify that I was also in his direct messages, because Mari and I met through Twitter as well, you guys, because of Elizabeth Warren, and he knew that I was, number one, a pissed off mom that wasn't going to take it anymore, and number two, I was so pissed off, just like what Maya said. I'm telling you guys, it was fated that we met. Just like what Maya said, I was so upset at the way that mainstream corporate agenda media treated Elizabeth Warren that I said, Mari, that's it. I want to create a podcast. I want to have my own media platform and start talking about progressive policies. What can you do? And Mari, you're not just named after your dad. You're not just named for a beer. Do I have that right? Okay. You are someone that got two women who love Elizabeth Warren together, and we all had fun. So come on and tell us how you got involved.
Okay, well, I guess I should clear up my name situation first. So right? Yes, it's true. I am technically named after my father and a beer. My dad's name is Raymond, and the beer is called Orion. It's Japanese. He was stationed in Okinawa, Japan, and my mom thought it would be a great idea to combine the two, his favorite beer and his name, to make Ray Marion, which is probably the reason why I go by Mari now. And I have for my entire professional career. But yeah, Maya's right. You know, I got involved through the campaign. Early on, I was really interested in doing something. I felt like, you know, coming out of that administration, I needed to be more active. I felt like I had been slacking. And I remember the beginning of the primary, I was kind of, you know, trying to line up who I was going to get behind. And I ended up with Elizabeth. And so naturally, I looked for like-minded people in a community to join. And I found my community online with you and Maya and many others. And that brought me to Jason. And we have a great relationship. And he got me even more involved because one of the things I was looking for was potentially a complete career change. I was thinking of going, you know, nonprofit 100% organizer, just completely change my career. Problem is I applied for a bunch of jobs and they were like, oh, you don't have any organizing experience. And I'm like, I've implemented EHRs in 3 locations in multiple countries. Like, what are we talking? Like, I'm a implementation director for a healthcare consulting firm. What do you mean I don't have enough experience to digitally organize? So, you know, after talking to some people, they told me, well, you know what? Take whatever you can get. Just volunteer. And so that opportunity came up, and through that opportunity, I met Maya, and you know, we gelled. We had a lot of things in common. We had a lot of ideas, and you know, Up was born out of that. And right around the same time Up was, you know, being founded, I knew you were trying to produce your, you know, content and get, you know, your voice heard and speak as passionately as you have about issues
Pissed
that matter
off.
to you.
Yes.
And so I'm like, okay, let's, if we're gonna do it, let's do it.
Heck
Let's have an organization that's educating people and getting folks to, wrap their arms around some basic progressive principles. I think a lot of times we get caught up on which, specific plan is the best plan, and not enough on, look, climate is changing and we need to do something about it. So let's just get behind,
Action.
proposals that are going to
Right?
make a difference versus whose proposal is the right proposal right now. We need to keep
Boom.
growing our base and bringing people over to our side, because unfortunately, moderate Democrats are creating more problems. I read an article today from Vox about James Carville talking about wokeness is a real problem. And I'm like sitting there thinking to myself, oh my God, this might be worse than Fox News.
Right?
so
Right?
so that's, what our focus is getting people to wrap their arms around progressive policy and say, you know what, I am for that. It might sound differently when I hear it from different groups talking about it, but reading it here and seeing how it's covered, I am for that. I am a progressive, because the majority of Democrats are progressives. They just
Yes.
get caught up into the labeling game and the media game and the political game of, trying to kind of pit different factions against one another, when at the end of the day, we all agree, and polling is there. When we poll on progressive policy, we've seen it time and time again. The majority of Americans, not even Democrats, are behind most of these policies. So what are we going to do about that? And that's what
Yes.
UP is about.
All right. Now, tell me more about UP, you guys. What does it do? What are we trying to achieve, and how are we starting off? I'm excited. Let's go.
Well, like I said, I specifically, and Mari doesn't per se come from a political background, but we're humming with ideas and a passion to want to help. So this is kind of our first foray into it, so to speak. So we're gonna make some mistakes here or there, right? We're looking for feedback constantly to find out what the progressive community needs help with and how we can be a part of that. But as we first launch, we're attacking it from a couple of different perspectives. We wanted to create a directory. And this was kind of near and dear to my heart a little bit, because my mom is always on me. Maya, it's so hard, not just at the top of the ballot, but when you get into these state and local races, it's hard to find or know who I'm supposed to vote for.
Yes,
I need you to start
ma'am.
cataloging this stuff, Maya. Go do something about it. I'm like, this is not what I do. But,
Well, I love her. You tell her I love her.
But when I set out to do this project, that was one of the things that was at the forefront of my mind. And when I started to talk to other people about it, other family members and friends, the same kind of thing kept coming up. A lot of people, most people know, when it's a presidential election, they're pretty much familiar with those people at the top of the ticket and whatnot. But when you start getting into the lower layers, the minutia, most people really don't know what's going on. So how do we make it easier to identify these people? A tool that, for local candidates that are running, it's something, because, they don't have a lot of money. Give them a place where they can put up their information and advertise what they're doing. Hey, I'm a candidate for superintendent of schools or whatever it is that they're running for. And then it's an easy mechanism where everyday citizens can go in and they can filter through this directory and easily find people in their state, in their district, in their local areas to vote for, who are progressive, of like-minded values and visions that they have. So that was the first leg of it, was trying to make it easier for candidates to get awareness and identified and easier for people who vote to go find them.
That is perfect. And now I have a question that I know a lot of people are going to have when it's time to fill in those circles. We used to say pull the lever, but forget that. It's too old. What happens, and I'm so glad that we have this problem, y'all, but what happens when we have multiple progressives running for the same race?
Is that a problem? I don't think that's a problem.
I love it. I'm just saying.
That's music to my ears, right?
Right? How does that get treated on the platform? Is it just here's the candidates and all of the information? How does that look?
I don't know if Mari, you want to tackle this, but we do not officially endorse anyone, and I'll let Mari run with it.
Yeah, I mean, our goal isn't necessarily to create more factions in this movement. It's everybody's personal choice to go with whoever they want to go with. All right. All we care about is, are you fighting for the things that are actually going to make a difference in this country? Period.
Nice.
From there, it's up to the voters to do their own research and to determine who they want to go with. I've seen too many organizations who do ranked choice voting and other things with people who are associated with their organizations and then go and endorse someone else. We do not want to be one of those organizations. We want to provide people with information and make more informed voters.
Amen. And I am so glad that you said that. And y'all, I had to put that question in because we are so blessed. We have multiple progressives running for the same races. We have people in Pennsylvania. We have people in North Carolina. I mean, it is really exciting out there right now.
Yeah, it is. For someone like me coming to the process, and I'm just full honesty, a little sour on politics and what it can do for my life and my family's life and my community's life, because year after year, you just keep getting disappointed with the people who are elected to office. And when they get into office, they just don't do a damn thing to help the people that elected them. But after I started to get into this process, and again, when we made the decision to build up, it's starting to come across candidates that I would have never heard of probably before. And it's young people, it's older people, it's from the South, it's from the North, the Midwest, everywhere. But it's like, oh, people of progressive minded kind of values like that I have, we're kind of all over the place. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Me and Mari aren't the only ones out there. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Amen. And we have some of them in Congress, you guys. Our bench is getting bigger all the time, right?
Yep. Our squad is getting big.
Almost 100 declared progressives within that caucus. Yeah, that again, this was something that I was learning as I was getting into this process. So it's kind of nice. It's always good to feel part of a community, right? To feel like you're not by yourself and you're alone. And I think that's kind of what we're bringing to the table with UP as well, is to let other people know, everybody has good days and they have bad days, but some people, sometimes you can get stuck in a rut, and I'm not going to vote. My vote doesn't matter. It's not going to make a difference. And so we're really looking to reach out to those disaffected people to say, hey, we see you. We're one of you. Let's talk. I've got a story to tell. I know you've got a story to tell. What can we do to motivate you and to have you really understand and believe that, yes, your vote does matter. And yes, it can make a difference. And don't let anybody else tell you differently. And so I think at the heart of it, that's what we're trying to do with UP as well.
Absolutely. And here's how important it is, you guys. Every race, every district isn't just a hashtag. We're watching right now what those tiny little races that nobody talks about are capable of doing. They're capable of putting forth voter suppression bills. They're capable of passing things out of their local Senate. They're capable of making it illegal to give people who are waiting to vote a freaking drink of water. I mean, come on. These are races we need to focus on. Mari, tell me what it is that UP is going to focus on all at once. I know that there's several different components to the platform. We're talking about the directory. Now tell me a little bit more, because I'm telling you, I'm not just a member, I'm a fan. I'm a show that's hosted by UP, and I look at us as a partnership. I'm going to get people the know-how of where you are and what you're about, and they're going to go and we're going to join.
Well, I mean, like you said, the platform is kind of multifaceted, and really what we're trying to do is bring data and information to people in the easiest way possible to consume. So we have, tools, and I'll just take the state snapshot portion of the tools section, where this state snapshot is going to give people information about their state makeup. A lot of people don't know what their state legislator looks like, what the split is between Democrats and Republicans, and number of folks who are progressive, and so on and so forth. So
Yes.
we're going to provide some of that data from a state level as well, so that people have access to that information. Maya, do you want to talk about some of the other tools?
Yeah, so Mari touched on the state snapshots. We've got a data section to our site that's just going to be dedicated with, I know sometimes numbers can seem cold and impersonal, but they're facts. And we've got to get into the habit of using facts a lot more, because if we don't, it's going to allow the enemy to continue to disseminate disinformation all over the place.
Right.
So we've got to combat that with the truth. But we're trying to do it in a way, as Mari said, simplified and make it easier for people to understand. So we're just not trying to blitz statistics at people and get too crazy with it, but to say, hey, look at this trend. Over the past 50 years, CEOs have increased their wealth by how much? Their pay is 2,000 percentage points of minimum wage workers. Let's look at this trend over the last. Does this look right to you?
Right.
Does this seem fair to you? And so we're going to be presenting data and facts from that standpoint with the site in terms of tools as well. And of course, we're going to have the typical things that you'll see on other progressive sites, with making it easy for people to register to vote or to check their voter status and share and look up information like that. But one of the other tools that I'm really, really excited about, and it's going to evolve over time as well, is, here's the thing. Just like, you, Erin, and Mari, and me, and what we're trying to do in startup right now, we're just some small guys, saying, hey, we want to contribute, get active, and go do something. There are a lot of other individuals doing it by themselves or in small groups across the country, but they struggle with getting certain structural support, certain financial support to help them go out and canvas, to help them print up materials to help educate people about what's going on. And so at the core of what our site is doing too, it's a fundraising mechanism that's going to allow us to help support local people across the nation with funds to help them to be able to do more grassroots activism and get materials in their hands that they can share within their community about what progressives really value, what our vision is for this country, and how it can affect their lives in a good way. So not only are we trying to kind of make it easier from a process standpoint of people to participate in elections and stuff like that, but for the people pounding the pavement, every day, who just need a little bit of support, we're trying to step in and build a structure and real tools that can help with that as well.
And you guys aren't just talking politics, you're also talking activism. I have been on the site and I see a little area that is for events. Tell me about that.
Well, I'll let Mari can chime in, but I'll say this really quickly. Again, from me and Mari's perspective, this, we're happy. We're so proud of UP, but this isn't just about UP. It's not about us taking our logo and plastering it everywhere and just trying to call attention to ourselves. This is about community. If this were left up to me and Mari and it just remained with us, it's destined to fail.
No.
Period, point blank.
I'm going to stop you right there. What she just said, you guys really need to underline this because it is beautiful, Maya, and then I'll shut up. It is about community. So how are they already better than the DNC, the DCCC? I mean, this is amazing. Okay, go on.
We appreciate the love.
It is. I'm sorry. It's 100% better. This one-stop shop to elect an army of progressives. Sign me up.
Well, that's the truth. It is about community, and with the event section of the site, as well as just how we're building it from the ground up. It's to bring in other people, other organizations from the top to the bottom. We want to just start coordinating better. Man, I think I heard it again on the news tonight. For the last 6 or 7, maybe 8 elections, the popular vote has come from a democratic, electorate. But yet somehow Republican presidents are still kind of eking out the wins. And that's because Republicans, we might not like them or some of them and what they represent, but they sure as heck know how to organize and come together when they need to. And when it's time to vote, they know how to get out their people. And so we're coming at it from that perspective too, is let's get smarter about how we do some of these things. There's data out there. All of this stuff isn't freaking rocket science, people. It's just, hey, let's talk a little bit more and figure out how we can coordinate better and come together as a community and start working together towards common goals that we all share. And I'm going to get off my soapbox and let Mari,
Well, I mean, that is the reason why united is the first word in our name, is because we're trying to unite the progressives.
Yes.
There's a lot of tribalism right now. There's a lot of grifters. There's a lot of people who are kind of running with this ball, but there's not a lot of coordination. There's not a lot of direction. And what we're trying to do with this whole community feel is to put everything in one spot so that people can come, they can get their information and not have to worry about which progressive organization I have to find next. And I know that, a lot of people are going to say, well, you guys could have volunteered for another org or whatever. But at the end of the day, if Latasha Brown didn't start Black Voters Matter, or Stacey didn't start Fair Fight Action, would we have won Georgia, right? If they had just existed in or worked with existing organizations. I think that for our causes, we do need to try something different.
I agree with you.
What we've been doing for the last, I would say 12 years hasn't been working, and it's time to do something different. And I think that's up.
Yes. And one of the things that I appreciate so much about UP, you guys, and yes, I'm a fan. I'm sure you've all figured it out by now. They are not about purity tests. This is about progress, not drama. And it's not just a hashtag that you'll see on my Twitter account. It's literally what they're going for. Am I right, guys?
Absolutely.
Yeah, as I mentioned before, look, we're not I'm not going to speak for Mari. I'm not steeped per se in policy. I'm not going to be the person that you call upon to say HR X to the B to D to C to the whatever. And here is everything that's in this legislation.
Right.
I'm not that person, and I am going to get some things wrong. But this is what I know about myself is that where I'm coming from and where my heart is at is to help, is to help, is to help, is to help improve the situation, especially for those who are out there hurting right now. So I'm just trying to bring whatever I have to bear to the situation in order to do that. And to touch a little bit upon what Mari just said, look, election after election, I think in the last few, over $1 billion on both sides in the presidential elections were being raised.
Yeah.
Billions of dollars are being raised every election cycle.
Yeah.
But we're not getting change every election cycle that impacts the lives of everyday people, right? Why is that? Just step back and ask yourself, why do you think that is? All of this money is flooding into these campaigns and these different structures and whatnot. Why aren't things changing? It's because they don't want it to change, right? The status quo wants to keep the status quo because it benefits them. And what we're trying to do is come in and upend that a little bit.
And it's a beautiful thing. And the other thing that's good about Up, you guys, and I don't just mean good, I mean great about Up, is we're looking at messaging because let's face it, we don't have a hate-for-profit network that's blaring what you should think, what you should do, and who you should vote for 24/7 on the Democratic side. So the progressive movement, thanks to people like United Progressive Platform, is finally going to get some messaging. Tell us about that, Mari.
Yeah, I mean, to Maya's point, we're constantly looking for feedback, and our goal is to put out quality progressive messaging that cuts through all of the BS. And,
yes.
I don't. We're not perfect, and we're not saying that we have all of the answers, and that's why we're trying to build a community that puts all of the heads together to come up with the solutions, because we're tired of the drama and we want more progress. And so, a couple of the pieces that are coming out, we've already done some surveying of some folks, and we've established some pretty good messaging, I think. What has been put together is absolutely amazing.
Yes.
And I just have to thank the team that's around us. Maya with her leadership, and then Noah with his artistic abilities, as well as Kat and Chris and yourself.
Wow.
And Maya's sister Ashley, who's been doing a lot of the back office work.
Thank you, sis. Love you.
We just have a really great team around us who have been grinding and really putting a quality platform and package together around from everything from visuals to the messaging itself. And I appreciate all the friends that I've reached out to, as well as Maya, that we've bounced ideas off the wall with, and have provided us with that feedback to make the messaging great. But that's the only way we're going to be able to keep this going, is by polling people and asking them, do you think this title is good, or is this title good? Or if we say this way, what does it mean to you? And that's what we're going to continue to do through all of the products that we come up with, is polling and getting people to help
Give
us
us feedback.
drive that messaging.
Absolutely. See, and I just love that. We're not just going to vote together to change our local communities and the community of America at large. We are itself at the United Progressive Platform quite a community in of itself. I can tell you personally that it is a labor of love. And when you love something as much as this, it is easy. So I would love to have you guys back as many times as you would like to come. You are true friends of the show. And with everything that you've said, you've got to tell people where to find you, because I know that they're ready. They're ready right now to go and join.
Hey, get early. You can go to thinkup.com. That's THINKU 2Ps.com right now and sign up for early access. And on May 3rd, we're officially launching, people. And when we launch, we'll change over our .com to our official thinkup.org address. And it's off to the races from there and starting to win a bunch of stuff from here on out.
And please follow us on Twitter. It's at WeThinkUp with 2 Ps. Please do that.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. I follow you. I love what you post. I repeat what you post. And y'all, if you don't know it by now, follow me at Wellness for You. That's wellness, the number 4, you 13 on Twitter. You will definitely hear some swear words, but you'll also get to meet great people like Maya and Mari.
On Twitter, I'm my first name, Ramarion. That's RAMARION 85. And for every 100 followers, I make a sizable donation to a candidate or cause.
Oh, beautiful. I love that, Mari.
Good deal.
If
you see me out there, I'm Sticky Stats. Maya, just Sticky Stats at Sticky Stats. It's weird, I know. Again, I'm not into this social media thing. I'm a newbie to this. Don't ask me why I said Sticky Stats, but that's what my handle is.
It's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. You like to look at the granular of things. I love it. I love it. So you guys, I'm excited. Not only do we have an amazing platform that's going to unite progressives, and let me tell you, when progressives unite, we win. It has happened time and time again, and it's going to keep happening. The elections to look out for: we have in Texas a special election where I personally am looking at Lydia Bean. She is a Warren Democrat. We have Kentucky with Mr. Charles Booker, who I begged for months. And yes, he is running, you guys. He is running. We have Jennifer Foy in Virginia, who looks like the strong candidate for governor that we want her to be. We also have Matt Rogers, friend of the show, for a delegate in Virginia. Get them both elected, please. And Ohio, how could you be more exciting? We have Nan Whaley and we have Tim Ryan running in Ohio, as well as Nina Turner. It is looking Ohio-rific out there. I know. I'm super pumped up, you guys. And
I'm from Ohio, so I don't think I've heard anybody that excited about Ohio before.
Well, you gotta look at the Ohio Warren Dems. So let me just say one last thing, because it seriously is true every single day. If your voice was powerless, the powerful would not try so hard to shut you up. Get loud, stay loud, get engaged. We're going to elect an army of progressives, and the United Progressive Platform is going to show us how.